Coming up next on this special American Graduate edition of Arizona Horizon, we'll take a closer look at the state's graduation rates, and we'll talk about what's being done to engage young people who neither work nor attend school. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to this special American Graduate edition of Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Arizona's graduation rates, for the most part, leave a lot to be desired. We'll have more on that in a moment, but first, a success story. Producer Christina Estes introduces us to a program that's changing lives.
We call them students, I call them my babies.
And like most moms, Kiaki Williams likes to brag.
She's doing amazing.
She is Margarita Sanchez.
Jobs for Arizona's graduates, this is Margarita.
She's one of Kiaki's success stories through Aspire. It's a program designed to help young people from low-income families finish school and find jobs.
A lot of times students come to us and I just want to get a job, and they're not focused on school at all. And then getting them to understand how important education is and what kinds of jobs they're going to get without it. And getting them to focus more on school than on the work aspect and how the work part will come once they have the education. I think that's the biggest thing for me.
Before Aspire, I wasn't really into high school at all. I was never going. I was always staying home. I wasn't the kid that would ditch school to do bad things. I always just stayed home and did nothing, and I was never interested at all. I had a dream, but I felt that I couldn't achieve it.
Remember, I got to find out about you taking that course.
With Kiaki's help and her own determination, Margarita became the first person in her family to walk on stage and accept a high school diploma.
It was really nerve-wracking, and I cried a lot during the ceremony. And it was a big deal.
My personality is very maternal, very wanting to take care of people. And I get to see my work, and that's why I love what I do so much. I get to see my babies grow up and see them graduate and see them get jobs.
She's not done watching Margarita.
Is that a private school, or what is that?
While she currently works 2 part-time jobs, there's another one in Margarita's future. She plans to attend college to become a veterinarian.
We recently discussed Arizona's graduation rates with Dr. Joseph O'Reilly, Student Achievement Director for Mesa Public Schools, and Rebecca Gao, head of a group working to improve state education. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Doctor, we'll start with you. Who's graduating, who's not, and why?
Well, the federal government came out with some numbers recently that showed that Arizona had about a 76% graduation rate. It's a little higher for whites and Asians. It's lower for Native Americans and Hispanics and African Americans.
Is this the one that ranked Arizona graduation rate at 43rd in the country?
No, this is a more recent one, I think, that ranked as 35th.
35th.
And what they do is they track the 9th graders from 9th grade through 12th grade and to see how many are still there at the end of 12th grade, taking into account transfers in and out.
As far as what you see out there, again, who's graduating and who's not?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of the data and statistics show that the Hispanic community is really struggling, and in Arizona this is really important because it's a growing proportion of our student population, and so I think that's a really important thing that we need to start to understand is these kids are having a harder time, and we need to find ways to help them.
How do we address that? What are some of those ways?
Well, the Arizona Ready Council just came out with a report, a graduation rate task force report that spent a lot of time on this. And we see a lot of opportunity in Arizona around non-traditional pathways that take students earlier in their educational career and start to teach them about college and career readiness, particularly that career focus, So they're starting to see the relevance by the time they are exiting high school. They understand why it's important to actually graduate. Our economy really depends on it. More and more of our jobs require post-secondary degrees, and our kids just aren't getting them.
And that's engaging the students. That's what we saw in the video just before with Margarita. She got engaged.
Exactly.
And when students get disengaged, that's when they're at risk of dropping out and not graduating.
That disengagement, is that a reflection more on schools, more on families? What percentage of both?
I think it's a combination, because you have students who are leaving because of family problems. They may have to do child care. There may be health care. It could be that they're just not getting engaged by the school. Dropping out has a lot of different causes, that some need to be addressed by the schools, but some need to be addressed by other aspects of society.
You talking family outreach programs, these sorts of things?
Those sorts of things, and maybe child care is an issue. A lot of other issues.
Please.
There was a report put out by the Gates Foundation called The Silent Epidemic, and it found high school dropouts and asked them, if you knew then what you knew now, what would you do differently, or what advice would you have to your past self, kind of things. And they overwhelmingly said, if I knew then what I knew now about the workplace and about life, I would have done more. But they also interestingly said, if adults had held me to the higher expectations and really encouraged me to do it, I would have done it. So that expectation is really important.
It's almost counterintuitive, because some would think that, well, the higher expectations, the higher goals and standards, more dropouts, more kids saying, forget this, I'm out of here.
Well, they're still just young people, and child psychology still applies. So when you give someone a challenge, a human being wants to meet that challenge. Innately, we want to meet those challenges.
So do you agree that higher standards and such would be better, as opposed to kind of going along to getting along?
I think higher standards and different ways of engaging the students to get to those standards. In some cases it may be a career focus, in some cases it may be a high academic, going for a very high college engineering type of approach. But yeah, the high standards is where the state's going. And we have to bring the students along so that they can meet those standards.
Yeah, I hear a lot about career focus, and yet when I was going to school, it was mostly get an education, learn to read, write, and think, and everything will fall in. You find out what you want to do later on. Is that an old idea?
It's somewhat an old idea. What we try to do is not focus on graduation, but what are you going to do after graduation with our students? So for the 8th graders, for example, we give them a test with NAU Gear Up, and we find out how ready you are for college. Are you on the path to be ready for college? And we ask them what their interests are, what their career interests are, what are their educational aspirations. And of over 5,000 8th graders, 75% of them say, I want to go to college or I want to go to grad school. About a third say grad school. About a quarter say, I don't know. And we had last year 13 say, I plan on dropping out. So they don't intend to drop out in 8th grade.
Yes.
But yet only 3/4 of them will graduate 4 years later.
How do you keep the non-college bound kid in high school?
I think a career focus, and I know we're used to thinking about technical education, and you hear the terms voc ed and you think of like sort of, some jobs that we don't often think of ourselves aspiring to. But the modern workforce is very, very different than when we all went to school. And that career and technical education is really important, and you can get 6-figure jobs with just an associate degree quite easily, and kids don't know this. So we have a lot of information that we can be sharing with students about options if they just graduate, first of all. And there are a lot of 2x2 programs where within high school you can get your associate's degree. There are a lot of wonderful opportunities in Arizona for kids. Mesa has a lot of them. Many schools and charters do. Kids just don't know about them.
The career and technical focus, again, kind of a sideways question to what I asked you. Is there a threat of being so focused and being so narrow in that particular scope that you lose the well-rounded education?
There could be, and that's a very good point, that when those of us who advocate for this idea of helping kids think more about the longer term and what their high school course selection should be and how they stay engaged in the content, there is so much technical content that has academic implications. For example, one of my favorite examples is an Automotive 2 course in the Marana district, which is an Algebra 2 credit as well. It is so chock full of that kind of information that the students can get academic credit with this very relevant content.
And it's interesting because I mean, as a kid, I learned about math because of baseball. I would look at baseball statistics and I would learn averages and these things through that. You don't have to become a math expert or a baseball statistician, but you got to find a way to engage in something. They don't have to become a mechanic later in life, but if you get that automotive class going and algebra involved, it makes a difference.
Right. It makes a big difference, yeah. And our completers, those who are in, seem to get more engaged, and I haven't looked at, they graduate at higher rates. I don't have the exact rate in front of me, but yeah.
As far as new ideas as opposed to old ideas, are you looking at other states? Are there things other folks are doing that Arizona should or could be doing?
One thing in the research area is a number of districts and a number of states have looked at what are some predictors. Kids don't wake up one day and say, I'm done, I'm not going to school anymore. Kids disengage from school in very specific ways in terms of their grades. Their grades go down. They don't get enough credits. Their attendance, their poor attendance, and also their behavior. And Montgomery County Schools in Maryland has actually gone down and can predict first graders. Are they likely to drop out? Because of some of those predictors. Basically, attendance is the big one at first grade. But they can find some things that if you intervene here, it's cheaper to intervene and keep the student in school than it is to try and recover them after they leave.
And you mentioned costs as far as education funding. Is that the elephant in the room here? Is that always a factor, or how do you see it?
I think that there are areas where targeted resources could make a big difference, and we have some amazing districts that have been very creative in how they've found ways to do some of these innovative career and tech ed programs. But you know, the data that Joe's talking about, one of the key ways to get a kid re-engaged when you see the data, the attendance data, the rule of thumb is 10%. And this is important for parents to know, that the rule of thumb is if your student is missing 10% of their academic time, whether you're looking at a day, a week, or a semester, they're at risk at that point. So adult contact at the school is a way to get the kid re-engaged, and that's a low cost, it's high time, but it's a low cost way to reconnect with a student.
Very quickly, does funding for education in Arizona need to increase for some of these numbers to get better?
For some of the follow-up, we've had to cut back our non-teaching staff, and so following up a student is not as high a priority as students that are in front of you. You have 3,000 students in your school. So we don't have people specifically tracking down these students. We try, but most of our graduates stop coming, they stop returning phone calls, and they're gone. And so we don't have a specific targeted, where did those kids go, what happened to those kids.
All right. Well, good discussion. Good to have you both here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Next, we look into the issue of disconnected youth. The Social Science Research Council released a study that shows that 1 in every 7 Americans between 16 and 24 years of age is neither working nor attending school. In the Phoenix area, it's 1 in 5. We'll hear more about disconnected youth in a moment, but first, we look at a program that's helping people reconnect.
How long has it been since you've been in school?
Christopher Seidel's official title is Re-Engagement Advisor.
You want to get your GED, obviously, and then from there, what are you looking for?
But he's also part coach and cheerleader.
The clients that come in, as they come in, I've been where they're at.
They are dropouts who are now dropping in at College Depot inside Phoenix's Burton Bar Central Library.
Looking forward and doing them online.
As part of Re-Engage Phoenix, Seidel shares resources with young people looking to return to school or earn their GEDs. When Seidel was 16, quitting school didn't seem like such a big deal.
Just living for the moment. Yeah, a lot of my friends started getting jobs. Some of them dropped out as well. And I had a friend, he had a new car. 2 friends that had new cars. They're working full time, making good money. Doing good money. At that age. And honestly, I didn't really see a whole lot of reason to continue.
His outlook changed a couple years later.
I don't want to say I wanted to go to college. I just knew I wanted to do something more than work fast food and construction. Also, I got into a little bit of a trouble, and I was on probation. And part of my probation was I had to get my GED before I turned 18. So that's why I got it 2 weeks before I turned 18.
Then Seidel earned his associate's degree from South Mountain Community College. A scholarship led him to ASU, where he graduated with a bachelor's degree in Spanish. Now Seidel's working on his master's in criminal justice.
You know, when you first start going back to school, it's very weird, you know, because the last memory you have in your mind of school and education is failure. There's a lot of uncertainty. You don't know what to expect. You know you want to do it, but you don't know if you're going to be good. You don't know if you're going to be successful.
And when it comes to disconnected youth, providing information and support isn't always enough.
Some people call to follow up and they just hang up on me, you know, just flat out like that. But it's that, you know, you just take that, you can't get down, you know, you just take that and that use that as fuel and motivation to persevere with the people who are moving forward.
According to the Measures for America report, the Phoenix rate for disconnected youth has improved since 2012, when Phoenix ranked worst among the largest metro areas. We talked about those numbers with Judy Reno, College Depot Director for Phoenix Public Libraries, Rick Miller, founder and president of Kids at Home, and Dr. Don Covey, Maricopa County's superintendent of schools. Judy, let's start with defining terms. Disconnected youth. What are we talking about?
We're talking about people who are aged between 16 and 24 and are not in school and also not currently working because they don't have the schooling needed to do so.
And Phoenix is among the worst, as we heard. In some respects, it is. Why? What's going on out there?
There's so many reasons for that, but there's now great groups and organizations that are all working together to try and make education more accessible.
Is there a reason that Phoenix does rank so poor? Is it poverty? What's happening?
I think what happens, as I see it, is kids enter our systems, our institutional systems, school being the first one. They enter those systems ready to be nurtured, ready to be inspired, and sometimes they exit that system disillusioned, discouraged. Sometimes they go into incarceration. So something happens between the time they enter the system and around age 16 where the system isn't working for them. And I think part of that is that we start writing off kids early on because they come from poverty, they come from dysfunctional families. There's high crime rates in their areas. And from our research, we discovered that those kids are normally labeled as at risk. We have to believe that every kid can succeed without exception.
Is there almost a preordained business going on here? If you're at risk, you're immediately at risk?
Not at all. They're very bright, very intelligent. I think it's a matter of getting opportunities, and that's what our functions and goals are. And we've really replicating somewhat what they've done in Philadelphia, Boston, Los Angeles, and they've been somewhat of our tutors for the last 18 months, if you will. And there's really, we hear the doom and gloom, but there is good hope. For example, Philadelphia, that established a re-engagement centers is how it really started. And for the last 8 years, they've had 85,000 young people who were disconnected to get reconnected into schools and jobs, what have you. So don't want to make our valley look like it's a horrible place, even though it's a large number, being #1 in the nation. But in numbers, that's about 183,000 young people that cost into the billions of dollars if we don't have an alternative for them.
When you're looking to reconnect these kids, these young people, what is the baseline? What are you looking to do just for starters?
Well, for starters, I would say twofold: hope, someone to believe in them, a mentor, a coach, and then also coupled with that information and access to great programs. And the good news is there are great programs in the Valley, but people need to know where to go to get connected with those items.
And as Rick mentioned, early intervention probably a big factor as well.
That's huge.
And are there strategies out there for that early intervention?
There certainly are, in the schools and also in community-based organizations, as well as in the city of Phoenix, in Phoenix Public Library, we've been trying to do so.
Is there, we talked about the fact that sometimes it's almost preordained. People think, oh, you're at risk and you're going to be at risk. But the importance of high expectations, and on both sides, high expectations are good, but high expectations can mean disappointment for some.
Not necessarily, because there's high expectations in all different realms of life. So there's high expectations that you're going to grow up and be a good mom or a good dad. There's high expectations that you're going to be a good community person. You're going to give back to your community. There's high expectations that you're going to enjoy your quality of life. And then the one we tend to disproportionately focus on, there's high expectations that every kid's going to go to college. And maybe not every kid's going to go to college, but every kid can be successful. And that's where we've kind of failed our children in really defining the word success for them. What does success really look? Is it a college diploma, or is it being a good parent, a good community member, providing for your family, and enjoying your quality of life? There has to be a larger definition of success, and if there is, more kids can succeed.
Do you agree with that, Don? The idea that you got to give them a chance, give them hope, as you mentioned, and an opportunity, put them in a place to succeed.
Absolutely. There's actually 4 pathways we're working on. One's Re-Engagement Center that Judy does a great job with. Youth development is Rick's area, and then in the kind of the centerfold of these 2 bookends, which is nice positioning of these 2 fine people, is there's career pathways, but also educational momentum. And the educational system has to be altered and changed and move away from what they traditionally were not successful in. And so they have what they call big picture schools that have been very successful across America that really combines both work internships, and they can actually take courses that help them do better in those particular jobs, but knowing what they're good at is part of the re-engagement centers that do with that. So those 4 pathways, Ted, are profoundly very successful nationally, and that's what we want to bring to the Phoenix metropolitan area.
Let's say I'm a young adult, I don't have a job, I'm not in school, I think I want to get re-engaged, I don't even know what it means. I come to your center, I approach you and say, I want to get involved, I don't know where to start. Where do you start?
Well, we have a team of smiling faces to help greet folks that are interested in getting re-engaged. We help by starting with an informational interview to get a sense of what the goals are of the individual, and then we help by providing comprehensive services. So in addition to getting them set up with either a GED or a high school path, we also help with post-secondary education planning, and even through Phoenix Public Library, we offer a lot of career services too for people that do want to continue right into the workforce.
And a lot of counseling in case the kid comes in, the young person comes in, they don't even know what they want to do. They don't even know if they want a GED. They don't. That's available as well?
It is, and it's one of the most important parts because it does, it's that long-term vision of why continue on to get re-engaged, because I can picture myself moving on into that important step of my life.
And then once I'm the young person and I think I don't want to go down path A. How do you make sure I stay on path A?
Well, there's a lot of support systems that Don and Judy are putting into place for these kids. And what we try to remind them is that every kid succeeds when there's 3 things that happen to them. One is you truly have to believe in them. They'll feel that energy. If you believe in kids, they tend to rise to your expectations. A lot of these children have dropped out because they've lacked that caring adult who didn't believe in them, or a number of adults who don't believe in them. It's not the fact that kids don't have adults in their life, it's the fact that many of them say they don't have caring adults in their life. And now for the first time, they may be finding that adult that's really committed to their success. And I think that's where it starts. And then beginning from that point forward, you begin to ask them, what will it take for you to achieve success? They become the agent of their own lives. They're not looking just for a handout, they're looking for a hand up to be successful. And I think what Don and his organization, Makisa, has done, what Judy understands, is that these are evidence-based principles and practices. This isn't something that they're trying out for the first time. Other cities have tried it and it's working.
Other cities have tried it and it's working. We don't live in a bubble here. Why haven't we tried this more, and why is it not working more here?
Well, great question, Ted. I believe it's almost like, where's over 100,000 disconnected youth between 16 and 24? You drove to work this morning. Did you see any of them? In other words, it's a huge elephant. And as my friend at the United Way say, it's a wicked problem we have. And so one of the things we did back in May was increase the awareness of our community of this large number of population that cost $127 billion just for this cohort between 16 and 24, with additional services, the crime that's involved with it, the addictions, etc. I was going to mention something about Rick, is that the program he has is one of the things we have to discover is these young people need to increase their self-efficacy, their self-esteem, and believe in themselves again, which they've been beaten down so much of saying, I'm worthless, I'm addicted, I got all these problems. And that's why that we engaged the Kids at Hope philosophy, but all populations, if that be the case. So this is really a significant movement of making it happen, but we need to be aware of what it is, why it is, and then these 4 pathways we talked about have been very successful in Los Angeles and Philadelphia and Boston. So it'll be here. We have to change a little bit, but it works well here too.
Yeah. So what happens to these young people is we may narrow it to that they're disengaged, which means they're not in school or they're not at work. But they're equally disengaged socially. They're equally disengaged emotionally. They're equally disengaged economically. I mean, these are kids who are disconnected from so many of the parts of life that that makes them whole. And so when you deal with a young person, you're only not dealing with one part of that person, you're dealing with the entire young person. And I think that's what makes this initiative that much different than just focusing on one aspect of young people's growth.
It sounds like a difficult task, though, if you've got someone that has that many fractures in their life, in their very young life. That's difficult to do. Is there coordination among agencies? Is there a common mindset here?
There's wonderful coordination. In fact, MCISA's been bringing our groups together through these summits, and we've been working as a team to really improve these things in our community. And like both gentlemen mentioned, doing research and making sure that we implement the best practices seen across the country right here in Phoenix so that we can tackle this and make an impact.
And this data is pretty big, isn't it? I mean, it's huge to have these results right in front of you.
Absolutely. There was a group called a Collective Impact Model out of Stanford University, which puts agencies, both private and public, together, and they have a common vision, a common set of goals. They don't take each other's identity away. Like these two, you're not going to take Rick's and Judy's. Look at them; they're so proud of themselves. You know, would you want to mess with that? So they do what they do well, but it has to be is you have a backbone organization, a convener, if you will, and enable and empower them to do good work with these young people.
All right. Well, great discussion. Good luck for all of you, to all of you, and keep that hope alive. Good to have you here.
Appreciate that.
Thanks, Ted.
And that is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us on this special American Graduate edition of Arizona Horizon. You have a great evening.
If you have comments about Arizona Horizon, please contact us at one of the addresses on your screen. Your comments may be used on a future edition of Arizona Horizon. Thank you. Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
This program is part of American Graduate. Let's make it happen. A public media initiative made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.